gratitude and highest heart love. Welcome to the YouTube live reading of The Ways of White Folks by Langston Hughes. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel, Neveu, and we're down to the last two chapters. This is awesome. Thank you guys so much for reading with me. And it's appropriate that this chapter 13 by Langston Hughes is called One Christmas Eve. The Ways of White Folks. It's really good, really good. We're getting down to it. Yes, thank you, peace, peace. Thank you for reading with us. Yeah, we're down to the last two. All right, so we're at page 199, One Christmas Eve. Thank you all for that. Join and read in with these books with me. You can scroll down my whole channel, and there's going to be a lot of reading material. So we're going to keep this going. Chapter 13, One Christmas Eve. Standing over the hot stove cooking supper, the colored maid, Arcee, was very tired. Between meals today, she had cleaned the whole house for the white family she worked for, getting ready for Christmas tomorrow. Now her back ached and her head felt faint from sheer fatigue. Well, she would be off in a little while, if only the missus and her children would come on home to dinner. They were out shopping for more things for the tree, which stood all ready, tinsel hung and lovely in the living room, waiting for its candles to be lightened. Arcee wished she could afford a tree for Joe. He'd never had one yet, and it's nice to have such things when you're little. Joe was 5, going on 6. Arcee, looking at the roast in the white folks' oven, wondered how much she could afford to spend tonight on toys. She only got $7 a week, and 4 of that went for her room and the landlady's, daily looking after Joe while Arcee was at work. Peace, highest heart love. Lord, it's more'n a notion raising a child, she thought. She looked at the clock on the kitchen table after 7. What made white folks so darned inconsiderate? Why didn't they come on home here to supper? They knew she wanted to get off before all the stores closed. She wouldn't have time to buy Joe nothing if they didn't hurry. And her landlady probably wanting to go out and shop too and not be bothered with little Joe. Doggone it, Arcee said to herself. If I just had my money, I might leave the supper on the stove for him. I just got to get to the stores before they close, but she hadn't been paid for the week yet. The missus had promised to pay her Christmas Eve or a day or so ahead of time. Arcee heard a door slam and talking and laughter in front of the house. She went in and saw the missus and her kids shaking snow off their coats. It's swell for Christmas Eve, one of the kids said to Arcee. It's snowing like the deuce, and Mother came near driving through a stoplight. Can't hardly see for the snow. It's swell. Supper's ready, Arcee said. She was thinking how her shoes weren't very good for walking in the snow. It seemed like the white folks took as long as they could to eat that evening. While Arcee was washing dishes, the missus came out with her money. Arcee, the missus said. I'm sorry, but would you mind if I gave you $5 tonight? The children have made me run short on change, buying presents and all. I'd like to have 7, R.C. said. I needs it. Well, I just haven't got 7, the missus said. I didn't know you wanted all your money before the end of the week anyhow. I just haven't got it to spare. R.C. took 5. Coming out of the hot kitchen, she was wrapped up as well as she could and hurried by the house where she roomed to get little Joe. At least he could look at the Christmas trees in the windows downtown. The landlady, a big light yellow woman, was in bad humor. She said to R.C., I thought you was coming home early to get this child. I guess you know I want to go out too, once in a while. R.C. didn't say anything, for if she had, she knew the landlady would probably throw it up in her that she wasn't getting paid to look after a child both day and night. Come on, Joe, said R.C. to her son. Let us go in the streets. I hears they got a Santa Claus downtown, Joe said, wriggling into his little worn coat. I wants to see him. Don't know about that, his mother said. But hurry up and get your rubbers on. Stores are all going to be closing directly. It was 6 or 8 blocks downtown. They trudged along through the falling snow, both of them a little cold, but the snow was pretty. Peace, everyone. Hi, it's Harlem. We're reading The Ways of White Folks. We're at the middle of page 202. Thank you so much. Langston Hughes is a genius. The main street was hung with bright red and blue lights. In front of the city hall there was a Christmas tree, but it didn't have no presents on it, only lights. In the store windows there were lots of toys for sale. Joe kept on saying, Mama, I want... But Mama kept walking ahead. It was nearly 10 when the stores were due to close, and R.C. wanted to get Joe some cheap gloves and something to keep him warm, as well as a toy or two. She thought she might come across a rummage sale where they had children's clothes, and in the 10-cent store she could get some toys. Oh, looky! Little Joe kept saying, and pointing out things in the windows. How warm and pretty the lights were, and the shops and the electric signs through the snow. It took R.C. more than $1 to get Joe's mittens and some things he needed. In the A&P, R.C. bought a big box of hard candies for 49 cents, and then she guided Joe through the crowd on the street until they came to the dime store. Near the 10-cent store, they passed a moving picture theater. Joe said he wanted to go in and see the movies. R.C. said, mm-mm. No, child, this ain't Baltimore, where they have shows for colored, too. In these here small towns, they don't let colored folks in. We can't go in there. Oh, said little Joe. In the 10-cent store, there was an awful crowd. R.C. told Joe to stand outside and wait for her. Keeping hold of him in the crowded store would be a job. Besides, she didn't want him to see what toys she was buying. They were to be a surprise from Santa Claus tomorrow. Little Joe stood outside the 10-cent store in the light and the snow and the people passing. Gee, Christmas was pretty. All tinsel and stars and cotton. And Santa Claus are coming from somewhere, dropping things in stockings. And all the people in the streets were carrying things. The kids looked happy. But Joe soon got tired of just standing and thinking and waiting in front of the 10-cent store. There were so many things to look at in the other windows. He moved up along the block a little and then a little more, walking and looking. In fact, he moved until he came to the white folks picture show. In the lobby of the moving picture show, behind the plate glass doors, it was all warm and glowing and awful pretty. Joe stood looking in, and as he looked, his eyes began to make out in their blazing people moving like the white shadows in the snow, a world of white people. It seemed to Joe an awfully long time till he suddenly saw Arcee. Oh, sorry, sorry. I don't want to do that. Ah, okay, we're at the top of page 204. Okay, I kind of went a little bit too far. In there, blazing beneath holly and colored streamers and electric stars of the lobby, a marvelous Christmas tree. A group of children and grown ups, white of course, were standing around a big jovial man in red beside the tree. Or was it a man? Little Joe's eyes opened wide. No, it was not a man at all. It was Santa Claus. Little Joe pushed open one of the glass doors and ran into the lobby of the white moving picture show. Little Joe went right through the crowd and up to where he could get a good look at Santa Claus. And Santa Claus was giving away gifts, little presents for children, little boxes of animal crackers and sticky candy canes. And behind him on the tree was a big sign which little Joe didn't know how to read. It said, "To those who understood, Merry Christmas from Santa Claus to your young patrons." Around the lobby, other signs said, "When you come out of the show, stop with your children and see our Santa Claus." And another announced, "Gem Theater makes its customers happy to see our Santa Claus." And there was Santa Claus in a red suit and a white beard, all sprinkled with tinseled snow. Around him were rattles and drums and rocking horses, which he was not giving away. But the signs on them said, could little Joe have read, that they would be presented from the stage on Christmas Day to the holders of the lucky numbers. Tonight, Santa Claus was only giving away candy and sticky candy canes and animal crackers to the kids. Joe would have liked terribly to have sticky candy cane. He came a little closer to Santa Claus until he was right in front of the crowd, and then Santa Claus saw Joe. Why is it that lots of white people always grin when they see a Negro child? Santa Claus grinned. Everybody else grinned too, looking at a little black Joe who had no business in the lobby of a white theater. Then Santa Claus stooped down and slyly picked up one of his lucky number rattles and a great big loud tin pan rattle, such as they use in cabarets, and shook it fiercely right at Joe. That was funny. The white people laughed, kids and all. But little Joe didn't laugh. He turned and fled out of the warm lobby of the theater out into the street where the snow was and the people. Frightened by the laughter, he had begun to cry. He went looking for his mama. In his heart, he had never thought Santa Claus shook great rattles at children like that and then laughed. In the crowd, on the street, he went the wrong way. He couldn't find the 10-cent store or his mother. There were too many people, all white. People All white people moving like white shadows in the snow in a world of white people. It seemed to Joe an awfully long time till he suddenly saw Arcee, dark and worried, looking cut across the sidewalk through the passing crowd and grabbed him. Although her arms were full of packages, she still managed with one free hand to shake him until his teeth rattled. "Why didn't you stand where I left you?" Arcee demanded loudly. "Tired as I am, I got to run all over the streets in the night looking for you. I'm a great mind to wear you out." When little Joe got his breath back on the way home, he told his mama he had been in the moving picture show. "But Santa Claus didn't give me nothing," Joe said tearfully. "He made a big noise at me, and I runned out." "Serves you right," said Arcee, trudging through the snow. "You had no business in there. I told you to stay where I left you." "But I seed Santa Claus in there," Arcee explained. Uh, little Joe said. "So I went in." "Huh, that wasn't no Santa Claus," Arcee explained. "If it was, he wouldn't have treated you like that. That's a theater for white folks. I told you once. He's just an old white man." "Oh," said little Joe. One Christmas Eve, the ways of white folks. That completes chapter 13. Highest heart love. Thank you so much, Carrie. Gratitude. Oh, Jola. Thank you so much. Highest heart love. And Carrie Wooder. Thank you guys for reading. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you soon with the last chapter. It's called Father and Son. So I'm going back and just cleaning up this wonderful, wonderful book by Langston Hughes, The Ways of White Folks. I'm your moderator and narrator, Highest Heart Love. To all the friends and family out there, I wish you had a wonderful day. Have a terrific weekend. I'll see you soon for the last chapter. Thank you so much. I'm Uriel. Peace, peace. Y'all rock. Peace, y'all. Y'all have a great one. Thank you. Love to you. Peace.